My name is Carrie Giletto, and we are going to be crafting with some brand new dies today. So, in honor of this week that includes our Christmas holiday, Heartfelt Creation is offering a 15% discount on any item of your choice. Now, this is just a gift to say thank you. And a gift for this Christmas season. So the discount is on any one item. It does exclude our warehouse clearance, but unlike last year, this year you can use that discount more than one time. So if you purchase from Heartfelt multiple times throughout the dates of December 19th to the 29th, it will automatically take 15% off the most expensive item in your cart. So like if you go shopping on the 18th and buy some things, it's going to discount 15% off the most expensive one. And then let's say by the 22nd, you decide I need a few more things. Again, it's going to take 15% off the most expensive thing in your cart. So even though it does exclude the warehouse clearance items, the other items, it will automatically choose the most expensive one, and you don't need any discount code for that. It'll happen automatically at the time of checkout. So anyway, now that we have that all explained, hopefully I didn't confuse you. Let's go ahead and switch the camera and take a look at what we're going to make today. Oops, there we go. Okay, all right, so even though we're getting close here to Christmas time in just a few days, or whichever holiday that you're celebrating this holiday season, we're going to make a Valentine card. So when I started looking through the dies, I thought if I could only get one die, which one would I go for? And I settled on this slim lattice oval. If I was going to use my 15%, I thought this would be a great die. If I could only get one, I really, really love this one. So I decided to make a project where we're using this slim lattice oval. Now I'm using lots of other product too. All of them are fantastic choices to use your discount on. We have the slim basic and the slim eyelet rectangle that we'll be using today. I'm also going to be using most of the Sweet Magnolia. Now, we're not going to use this one, but we are going to use the rest of the collection. Now, the Sweet Magnolia and most of our other flowers are bundled together where you can get the mold, the stamp, and the die as a bundle. So, you know, that's a really good way to maximize your money when you purchase things, is when you get them in a bundle, there's already a little bit of a savings built in. So most of our flowers do come that way. Then there's also the Creative Essentials section where you get the paper pad with the stamp and die. So those are just some things to look at that may help you. So, all right, so to begin today, we're going to start with our die cutting. So for this project, we're going to be using the Friendship Rose paper. And in that paper, we're going to use this beautiful black piece, which is sheet 11B. And I'm also going to use sheet 3A, and we're going to die cut a piece from this beautiful textured rose colored piece. And these are going to be our two main colors in our project today. All right, so out of your Slimline basics, let me grab them over here. We're going to use the two largest ones. Okay, so on the back here, we're going to use this one and this one. And the largest one you're going to cut out of black. And then that next largest one, the second one down, you're going to cut out of this rose colored piece. All right. So once we get that finished, that will give us this one and this one. And also out of our black piece, we're going to go ahead and die cut this beautiful piece right here from the lattice oval. So this makes such a beautiful die, or when we're all done. So this is what you'll have out of your black. when you're finished with that die cutting. And it just die cuts so beautifully. And I love it that these little pieces, they're large enough that they just pop right out. This die is not one that you have to sit and poke a lot of little pieces out. I had no problem at all. Most of them just fell right out. All right, so the last die cut that we're going to do here to get our base card is out of our deluxe silver paper. You're going to cut the second largest of the eyelet rectangles. So let me grab that one. And it is this piece right here, and it's not the largest, it's the second one down. I've got so many sets that it's hard to keep track of, but it's this one right here. Okay, so once we get that, that'll take care of our die cutting. Out of a piece of white cardstock, you're going to cut a piece that measures 7.5 by 8 3/4. And then on the 7.5 side, at 3 3/4, which where the half mark would be, you're going to go ahead and score that and fold it over. So we're going to end up with a 3 3/4 by 8 3/4 card. So hopefully that all made sense. Okay. All right, with the Slimline, I have noticed that there's not a universal size for Slimline. Different places kind of have different sizes, so I tend to make mine all different sizes from time to time. So you will see this one that we cut from the black measures 4 by 9. Well, our card is only 8 3/4. So we need to go ahead, even though it is the right width to give us that nice white frame, down here on this one end, we're going to have to trim it back 1/4 inch. So it's 8 3/4. We need to make 8 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my paper cutter, and we're just going to make this measure 8 1/2. There we go. I don't want to mess it up here because I don't have any more of this. So there we go. All right, so once this measures 8 1/2, we can go ahead and glue it down on the front of our card. Just like this. And we want that nice white border all the way around. Whoops. So let me know in the chat, is everybody prepared for the holidays? Are the presents wrapped, the trees up, the goodies baked? For those of you that are celebrating the Christmas holiday, there's always so much fun things to do, but it can sometimes get hectic. There we go. So once you get your black piece glued on, we can set this aside for a moment. And the next thing we're going to do on this piece, we're going to go ahead and glue this down. Whoops. Okay. I'm having trouble. My glue is just a little stopped up there. There we go. I'm going to put my glasses on so that I can see where I'm gluing. There we go. Now, normally I put a little bit more glue around, but for the video today, so that you don't have to watch me, I'm just going to quickly go around the edges. There we go. I do normally put a little bit more in there. Okay. All right, so now that I have this part down, I'm going to go ahead. I'm missing a little piece here that I cut out. Here it is. Here it is. I'm going to go ahead and glue this little piece right in here. So this is from our Eyelet Basic Oval set. And I know that I pulled that, but here it is. Okay. I keep my ovals like this. I believe I've showed you this before, how I keep my staple dies right next to me in these little sleeves on my magnetic pieces. So the one we're going to use here is from the larger set of the ovals. And it's going to be the third one from the eyelet one. So 1, 2, and it's that third one. And we're going to go ahead and cut that out of that pretty rose paper. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull these two out because we're going to use these in just a moment. Whoops. I had forgotten about this when I had you die cutting. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to glue this piece right down here. Oops. All right. Now, I forgot to tell you, but when you die cut from your deluxe silver, we needed to cut this combination out of the deluxe silver as well. And that is going to give us this piece right here. I had forgotten that we needed this. So now that we have this, I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece right down onto our deluxe silver piece. There we go. I find it hard during this busy time of year to craft as much as I really want to. So once we get our holiday cards done, sometimes it's hard to find time to get in there and just play with your stash and have some fun. So hopefully, for those of you that are working, maybe you have some time off this time of year and you'll have a chance to enjoy some of those goodies. Did anybody put crafty goodies on their Christmas list? My family always knows that if in doubt, you can get mom some kind of crafty goodie and she's going to be happy. So, all right. So once we have our card to this point, we can go ahead and set this aside. And we're going to get a sheet of vellum out. And let me see, my vellum is right here. This is the vellum that Heartfelt Creation carries. And this is a very nice vellum. And it is a little bit thicker than a lot of vellums that are on the market. And that is perfect for flower making. There are lots of vellums, but some vellums are a little too wimpy. And if you put them through the molds, they're going to tear and things like that. So this is a very nice, firm vellum. And so on our vellum, and hopefully, I don't know if you can see that. Let me put it like this. Maybe you can see that a little better. And what I've done is I've stamped the magnolia flower. Let's see, one of this one and two of this smaller one. And I have stamped that in the, let me grab it here. In the Versamark, which is basically a stamp pad with glue in it. And I have stamped it in that. Oh, you know what? I am so sorry. I told you the wrong thing. I didn't use Versamark for this one. I stamped it in the pink peony, and then I heat embossed it with a clear embossing powder. That's how I did this one. I'm sorry. I'm getting it confused with another one that I did this week. I've been a busy girl. So I stamped this in the pink peony, and then I very quickly covered it with the clear embossing powder and then embossed it. So that is how I got my pink peonies here. And I did that on purpose. I wanted this to be very delicate. So the way I colored these, and I'll leave it on this white paper so hopefully you can see it, is I took my pink peony and I made a circle on each flower, getting up on the petals. Then I came in with my vibrant fuchsia, and I did the same I did the same thing, but I didn't go quite as far up on the petals. Okay, then I turned them over, and right in that center where that vellum, or I'm sorry, where that embossing powder is, I wanted to make sure I added just a little bit on the back side, right where that place is. Okay, because on the front, after you put your ink on vellum, if you wipe it off, all the places where the embossing powder is, that's going to not necessarily take your ink real well on the places where the clear embossing powder is. So by putting some underneath, you still get that dark color, so it doesn't just look like an empty spot in the center. Now we're going to be using prills, so a lot of that's going to be covered up. But that's something you have to think about often when you're inking on embossing powder. Embossing powder doesn't take the ink. Okay, so once you get that all done, you can go ahead and die cut those. And that's going to give us this right here. All right, so before we make our flowers, we're also going to go ahead and die cut our leaves, if I can find where, there it is. Okay, we also, from the Leafy Accent set, I stamped this leaf pattern here, and it is the one without the curlicues, and that comes from the Leafy Accents. If you don't have the Leafy Accent combination here, this is another great way to use your 15% off discount, because these are, oh, they're just so useful. I just grab them all the time. So it is this one right here that I went ahead and stamped out, and I stamped that in the English Ivy. So that's a really dark green. I thought that would complement our black and our beautiful fuchsia color on our card. So stamp that. Now, for the two bud vines from the Magnolia bud set, I stamped those in the plum. So you can go ahead and the two bud branches, I stamped those in plum. Okay, now to color these up, I'm going to start with the English Ivy, and all of the stems and right on the base of each leaf, I'm going to get some English Ivy. But I'm not really going up into the leaf very much. I just want to get right down at the base of each leaf. Right, that's how I did that. And then I came in with my plum color. And just on each leaf, I put a little bit of plum color just right in the center. And this is just one way to add a little interest to your greenery. Then I came in with a vivid chartreuse, and I just very quickly went over all of it with some vivid chartreuse, blending that all together. And you can see I don't worry at all about staying in the lines or anything like that. I want to make sure I get that good and covered. Okay. Now for the bud branches, I'm again coming in with my plum, and not the flower part, but just the branch part, I'm going to kind of fill in with the plum color. I didn't want to introduce another color like brown or gray or anything like that. I wanted to keep this in the pink family. So I'm kind of using this plum as a brown substitute. And that's something you can do. Like sometimes you can use blue to be a green substitute. And you can use other, you know, dark colors to take the place of brown. So that's what I've done here. Then I'm going to come back in with my pink peony, and I'm going to put a nice swatch on each of these buds. And you're going to do that to all of them, but I just covered these with the pink peony. All right, so once we're done with that, we can go ahead and die cut those. And that is going to give us, I've just got ink piles all over here. That's going to give us this right here. All right, so we should have our card base with our oval. We've got some flowers here, and we've got our supporting pieces for our flowers. Now I'm going to come back with the English Ivy, and I'm going to go around the tips of all my leaves. And I just think that adds a lot. You see how that, the ones on this side versus the ones on that side? I really like doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and go all the way around. All right, now there is also a shaping mold for our leaves. I'm not going to use it today, but we have a shaping mold for all of the leafy accents. So all of these pieces right here will fit, it has a mold that goes with it, and you can mold these leaves. I'm going to go ahead and shape these by hand today. And I am using the Deluxe Flower Shaping Kit. So I'm going to pull out the mat and my stylus, and I'm just going to turn this over, and I'm going to add shape to the back side. Oh, look, I die cut some purple tape. That must have caught on my paper. Oops, there we go, get that off of there. So I'm just going to run my stylus over the back of these. and give them just a little bit of shape. All right, now we're going to end up cutting these all apart. So that's going to be plenty of shape for me. And the same with these, I'm just going to add a little bit of shape on just the back of all the buds. So I know I'm going to use these pieces by just kind of tucking them in and around my flowers to support my flowers. They're not really going to be center stage or anything, so just a little bit of shape is all I need. All right. So one thing I like to tell students in class, when it comes to shaping pieces like this, you take your stylus and you make circles on the big parts, then you turn it over and press lightly on some of the small parts, and that's going to give you kind of just a shape. And that system pretty much works, whether it's a mailbox, a flower, a snowman, whatever, what pickup truck, whatever you're making. If you turn it over, make circles on the big parts and turn it back over and press lightly where the tiny connecting parts are, and that's going to give you good dimension on your shapes. If there is an exception to that rule, I can't think of it at the moment, but that's pretty much 99% of the time that works. So now that we have this done, I'm going to go ahead and set this aside, and we are going to work on our flowers. Now for vellum, you can use dries clear glue on vellum, but you have to let it dry a lot, or you just really have to be careful with it, because that glue is going to slip and slide on your flower. So one trick is to put it on there and let it get tacky before you press it down, and that will kind of help it hold in place. But I like to use hot glue when I'm using vellum, so I'm going to go ahead and get that ready. Now once it's dry, it holds just fine. Like this one I made with regular glue, and once it dries, it's totally fine. It's just during the drying process, it can slip and slide around. So all right, I'm going to get this little piece right here, and I've gone ahead and I've molded these in the magnolia mold, and I molded those face down. But I am going to take my stylus here and just put a little bit of shape back into them. There we go. And for my prills today, I'm going to be using a prills called Power Outage. Now do keep in mind, all of the products that I'm using for this card today are eligible for your 15% off discount. So that is good on any single item that is not in the warehouse clearance. So that is, I hope that some of you will take some time and head over there and pick out a Christmas goodie for yourself, because we got to buy ourselves a Christmas present too, right? And I layered each of these 3 deep, and I totally didn't put shape in this one, so I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Okay. And since this is my one with the least shape, I'm going to put it on the bottom. All right. Now to add my prills, I like to just set it in a little dish. You can do it on paper plate. You can do it on a coffee filter. But I always say with prills, the nicer you make your circle of glue, the more shapely your prills is going to be. All right. Now, a lot of times you get that where, see, can you see the kind of over prill there that goes over? So I like to take my golf tool or my awl and just kind of flick those out. If you have any like hot glue or something around there, they can stick in that. So you want to go ahead and flick those out of there before it has a chance to cool and dry. All right, now if you see white glue, that's totally fine, because this is dries clear glue, so that's it does have prills down under there. So we're just going to go ahead and set that aside to dry and pour the remainder back in the jar. It's great to have a stash of all different colors of prills in your collection, and they do sell these in a package with I I think it's 12, if I remember right, in the same package with like all, a variety of colors. And that's another great way to use your 15% off discount because, it can get a little pricey buying the little things of frills, but they're great to have on hand. And buying them in a set like that is a great way to go. That would be a treat for Christmas, I think. Okay, so now that we have that done, let's go ahead and get the glue closed up. We've got our flowers made. All right, so one of the last steps here to making our card, we want to get our vellum back out again. And we're going to go for this sentiment set called For My Friends Sentiment. And we're going to take this one right down here. It says, to the world, you may be one person, but to me, you are the world. And this is going to be our Valentine sentiment. And you want to take a pretty good size of vellum. And I stamped this with black ink, and then I put clear embossing powder over it. Now, you wouldn't have to do the embossing powder. If you wanted to, you could just do black ink. And then once I got that down on my vellum, boy, I'm just losing things all over today. Here it is. Set it over here. I took, remember this combination that we had, that we cut out this piece? I want this to be large enough that it will attach to this. So if I cut it out with this one, it's going to be too small. All right. So what I did, let me grab these. And this comes from the larger of the oval set. So all of these are smaller than this one. So this is the largest one that does not have eyelets. So the way I made this piece is I laid this down, centering this in the center, and then I took a pencil and I traced on the outside edge. So you can see that the cutting blade of this die is towards the inside edge. So the width of the die there gives me enough room that I can glue it onto my frame. So when I cut this out, I'm going to cut it by hand, but you don't have to be super neat. You just don't want to go on the inside of it. You just want to make sure you stay on the outside. So it's not, if you get jagged or you mess up or something, that's totally okay. You just want to stay on the outside of your pencil line. So it's not something you have to be super neat with, but, you basically have this width right here to have a mess up because you just don't want vellum sticking out from your eyelets. But for the most part there, I think anyone can go ahead and cut around that. Okay, so to attach my vellum to my frame, I am going to use some double-sided tape, for the same reason that I used the hot glue on this vellum. You can use dry clear glue. You'll just want to set something heavy on it and wait, till that's good and dry before you try to mess with it because it will shift around. So since this is a video and we don't want to take the time to wait, and I just got double-sided tape in my hair, I'm going to use this double-sided tape, and I'm just going to very quickly run this around this inside of this frame. And you want to keep it, if you do it this way, you want to keep your tape pretty close to that inside edge, because the way we trimmed this, we know it was right at that inside edge. So if you put it too far over, you run the risk of it maybe not catching all of your vellum. Hopefully that makes sense. Now we're going to add some shaker bits inside of this. So that's why we want to make sure that that vellum is closed all the way around. All right, so once you put your double-sided tape on, there's a lot of little bumps because it's a circle. So you could just burnish all of those down. And then it still just peels right off, no problem. And from here, we're just going to go ahead and add this on our frame, making sure that our pencil line is all covered up. And now that we have our vellum like this, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of the really narrow foam tape, and in the same way that I put the double-sided adhesive, I'm going to do the same thing here with my foam tape. I'm just going to run it right around the edge of that frame. Now, Heartfelt Creation does sell the narrow foam, and it's in short strips, a little bit shorter strips, and you can pick that up also using your discount if you don't have any of that. But this narrow foam is a wonderful invention. It makes it so easy to create shakers. All right. So very quickly, we got that done. So here's our card. We can set that aside. And we've got our flowers. I'm going to use 2 of the small ones and 1 of the large one. And to make my shaker element, now on my original, the shaker bits that I put inside were kind of pale pink and golds and stuff, and you can't see it very well through the vellum. So for the one I'm doing with you, I decided to get some of these hot pink, and I think that will show up better through my vellum. So I am going to put a nice big pile of these things right in here on the inside. And I'm also going to set something heavy right down here because I'm afraid if I let go, it's going to pop and throw all of my sequins, and I don't want to have to pick all those up. So we'll go ahead and take off our papers here. And I'm going to add just a few more. You can never have too many shaker bits. Oh yeah, definitely. You can see those better. So I'm just going to line that up. I did get a little bit to one side. There we go. Okay, there we go. And because those roses are down under there, you can also just see those. And there's our shaker bits that you can see down in there, and you can see the roses. And I really like the idea of combining the ovals with this beautiful frame. And with the heart shapes here, I just thought this worked great as a Valentine card. All right. Now, let's go ahead and add our leaves and our flowers. Now I decided I'm going to put the 2 smaller ones up here, and I'm going to put the larger one down here. Now I didn't forget this step, but we haven't done it yet. On our in our paper pad, we have a sheet of tags and labels and things like that. So in our ornamental tag set, which is another one of my staple dies that I keep next to me, there's this piece right here. And in the paper pad, there's a sheet of our tags. Let me go ahead and get those. There we go. There we go. All right. The one I want is always right in the center, and they're never over here at the edge. The one I want is always right in the center. So I just trim up the paper and trim out the one that I want to use, trying to preserve the rest in case I want to use that color on the other side. But I go ahead and I die cut this whole piece. And from there, from our friendship sentiments, I got the Happy Valentine's Day, and I stamped that using the white pigment ink, and it escapes my mind at the moment the company that we use for our pigment ink. It's just I can't remember. But so you get your tag and you go ahead and cut that out. You stamp your Happy Valentine's Day, and I heat emboss that in white. Now when this was originally cut, it was a much bigger tag, but I thought it hung down too far and kind of got into my sentiments. So all I did was bring after I die cut it the original time, I did my stamp, and then I brought it down so that it was the length I wanted it to be, and ran that through my die machine a second time, and that cut the top off and still gave me that same pretty shape. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. I feel like I'm not making much sense today, so hopefully you guys can bear with me. Okay, so for my leaves, I am going to tear some of these and use them in different ways. The same with my others. Now they're all going to be tucked under the flowers, so I don't feel like I have to cut them with scissors necessarily. Now for these little bits, I'm going to do the same thing. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to glue down my leaves first, and then I'll come back and tuck my buds in after I glue my flowers down. So, oops. Now you could add your leaves with regular glue. I'm going to go ahead and use my hot glue here. Oops, there we go. So is anyone traveling to visit family this season, or going on vacation? Taking any trips? My family is going to be driving from Texas to Indiana in the next few days to visit. We're all going to Grandma's house for the holidays, so we're looking forward to that. Okay, so now that I've got some of the leaves down, I'm gonna go ahead and add my flowers, and then I can tuck in those other pieces. Oops, getting. All right, now adding it with hot glue, I do have just a little bit of wiggle room there before that dries to position those, and I don't want to get this hot glue on my vellum. I'm afraid it might stick there and stay, so I want to pull that off. Okay, so now that I have some of these leaves in there, I'm going to come back, and for this I am going to use my scissors to cut some of these off. And I'm just going to trim between them, add a little bit of hot glue, and start tucking them in. I think I want this one right down here. And no right or wrong, we just want to get some of that pink and different color down in and around our flowers. I thought that was pretty. I'm just going to trim these up and start sliding them in. All right, so in the comments, can you tell me if any of you kind of have an idea if what you would like to use your 15% discount on? Do you have a die or a collection that you have had your eye on, but for whatever reason it wasn't quite in the budget, or you just hadn't acted on it yet, and now you're excited to use this opportunity? We would love to hear what you're excited about having. I can tell you, it's hard to choose. They have come out with just so many wonderful products here lately. Another one that I thought would be a must-have would be the heart-shaped one that came out with the friendship hearts. That kind of fancy swirly heart one. I love that one. I love all of them. Who am I kidding? I love them all. But if I had to choose just one, some of these that I mentioned are ones that I would definitely want to have. So, all right, we're just finishing up with popping our leaves in there. I think I wanted a leaf right in there. There we go. And I've got one more leaf. Pop that right here. Okay, so the very last thing that I need to do is to put in my Happy Valentine's Day tag. And so I'm going to give it just a little bit of shape and then add a little bit of hot glue, and I'm just going to tuck it right in there where I put that last leaf on the top part, right in here. So one of the reasons I put that leaf there is just so I would have a place to kind of tuck that. And I just wanted it kind of coming out at an angle so that it doesn't cover up my sentiment, but kind of goes with it instead. All right. Well, thank you so much for crafting with me today. I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera back. Hello. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed making our Valentine card today, and I hope that you will head on over to the website. That 15% discount is our Christmas savings, and that is good from December 19th to December 29th. So that should give you a few days on either side of the holiday to be able to sit down and look through the website and see something, pick out something that you would really love to have. And we hope that you all have a wonderful holiday season, and I look forward to crafting with you again soon. Oh, and before I go, I did want to tell you, if you are an insider member, you will definitely get your free shipping and your 20% discount on top. So if you're not an insider member, you might want to check that out while you're there. All right. Well, thanks so much. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.